evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour on my Media Prime. We are sorry for the late start of this edition of the program, an edition that is going to be looking at issues touching on relationships and marriage. We are this evening looking at how to manage shocks and overcome them when we find ourselves in relationships as well as marriages. What would you do? If you were to discover that your husband is a cultist, what would you do? If you were to discover that your wife is a 419er, and how do we sort out things relating to in-laws who force themselves into the house? How these shocking situations that we will need to learn how to deal and come out of them. We are discussing this very pertinent issue with our panelists who are in the house already. We have Apostel Ambe who is our permanent consultant. Good evening, welcome, Apostle.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, my co-panelists. Sorry, I've been away for a week. Other engagements took me away, but I'm here today for us to discuss this very important topic. I want you to remain calm as we educate you tonight.
Apostel Alfred is also here with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Apostle Ambe. Good evening, my listeners out there. I want to say I'm happy to be here again today to be a blessing to you. Stay tuned.
All the way from Bomen, the Northwest Regional Capital we are going to be having Mrs. Assange Yvette contributing in edifying Cameroonians as far as our topic for tonight is Apostle Ambe Valentine, where we talk of absorbing and overcoming shocks in a relationship. What do we mean?
Actually, shocks and different challenges in a relationship vary, Mr. Liu. Shocks are unexpected. From the word shock, unexpected things that happen in your marriage you least expected, that takes you by storm or by surprise, things you never envisaged, things you never dreamt for, or things you never thought your partner could ever do, or any man could come through your partner could do in the family. And then suddenly you find such things manifesting. So it becomes a shock to you because it is surprising. It is amazing, it's mesmerizing, it's astonishing. So the truth is, these things are always there. We cannot shy away from them. They are facts and they are realities we experience in marriages, we experience in the lives of those whom we have cancelled. We also experience with people around us. And these shocks are things that probably sometimes send some people to their graves. Sometimes these shocks paralyze some people. Sometimes this shock leaves some people frustrated and never get interested in getting married again. These shocks sometimes develop a feeling in the hearts of some people who think like marriage is some kind of a suicide mission, and you can go on and on and keep counting the effects or the outcome of shocks in the lives of people. The issue is, these shocks occur and sometimes become very detrimental to us because we overestimated our partners, believed so much in them, trusted so much in them, which is good, but we must understand that every person you are getting married is flesh and blood, and flesh and blood has the capacity to fail from time to time. Whether a man or a woman, you should expect failure from them, and they can even fall right that low. Just like God creating Adam and Eve in his image, knowing that they were God in their own capacity, only to find out that the devil took the form of a serpent, an animal, which is lesser in capacity in the class of mammals than man. The devil used the serpent to deceive man, and God, who created man in his image, knowing fully that man was like a god on the earth, was equally taken by surprise. So as long as you are in this flesh and blood, don't overestimate people. Don't expect too much from people, because you can be amazed to see that the best in the society sometimes act as the lowest. You can surprise that the people whom you think are the most intelligent can act in the most stupid way you least expect. Somebody you think is very mature can act like a baby at a particular time, because our tendencies fluctuate, our emotions fluctuate from time to time, and sometimes you are low and sometimes you are high. We've read the scriptures. We saw men that called down fire. They were in their high moments. At one moment also they became very low and ran away. We saw men that crossed the Red Sea. At a certain level, they were able to still fall in the hands of a woman. We saw men that uprooted the gates of cities like Samson. At the level, a little girl like Delilah could drag him and then expose the source of his power. So that is a human nature. So when you are getting married, expect the worst as well as the best from your partner. If you condition your mind in this way, it will be difficult for you to be taken by any shock to the extent that it can affect your health and otherwise. So I think that's the foundation I've been able to lay as we continue with the topic.
Okay, absorbing shocks and in relationships and marriages. Apostle Alfred is singer. We always are taken by surprise because we did not prepare shock absorbing attitudes before engaging in either a relationship or a marriage. We know that cars are produced with shock. We have, is it shock absorbers?
Yes, shock absorbers.
Yes. Do we always get surprised because we did not prepare for this before getting into marriage or relationships? Because we have the tendency to believe that, okay, before a man or a woman decides to settle down in a relationship or a marriage, they are so mature that they cannot engage in some shocking moves or activities.
Well, if it was before, it would have been very surprising that people find themselves in shock, but not anymore. Because the society has become so complex and so funny with the advent of the internet and so many other things. Shock is no longer, they are no longer shocked about certain things anymore. It's only a few sets of people, especially Christians, who get to the point of getting shocked about certain behaviors. And even till today, a lot of people are not even surprised to see Christians behave the way they behave. As a matter of fact, if you tell people that a pastor has done something now, they are not surprised. At first, you want to hear that a pastor maybe has done this or done that, and you say, pastor too, and whatever. And then you want to hear that a priest has done this, you say, priest too, and so on and so forth. I was just listening to one comedy that Apostel Alfred was trying to put up there, where a guy was saying that women have, they are supposed to be the head, and he said because so women succeeded to remove priests to make them to become, they abandoned their priestly calling because of some kind of things. Now the shock is no more there. Look, Mr. Leo, let me ask you a question. Is it really shocking? Can anything shock you now at this moment? If you want to see, like you go to Boya now and you want to tell a girl that somebody's going to break your heart or somebody's going to surprise you, they are not shocked anymore. You want to ask a husband or a wife, they are not shocked because of what? Many of these things are like before they come, you have already seen some signs, you have seen some traces, and maybe before they want to even go to real effect, you have warned them, you have quarreled with them, and then when it comes to happen, you say, it don't really matter, and so on and so forth. At first, people used to say that if my husband cheats, I'm going to leave him, but today it's not like that anymore. People don't say that anymore. If my wife cheats, I'm going to leave. No. We'll only cheat before inside our house, or we'll fight ourselves and then trouble come. That's what's happening every day. There's a lot of tension everywhere because of what? People think that anything can happen. And because of that, they take precautions and they are doing everything to make sure that nothing shocks them. Nothing will shock somebody today, except some few people who are still trying to claim as if human beings have become spirits. Anything can happen, just like Apostel Ambe said right now. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. No one is really a Superman. And I tell you, the reason that people get shocked is because they try to think that human beings have become spirits, which is a big disadvantage for them. Few people break up this relationship these days because of maybe cheating or one thing or other. Few people break up, especially in marriages. Few people break up because of what? They know that these kind of things have happened before. It can happen, and it's just to be careful. It's just to be careful. It's just to be careful. So that's exactly why I try to tell us to bring to the point that shock. Maybe we should talk about something if we want to talk about spirituality, we want to talk about the church, we want to talk about, you say that people will be shocked to see how some people behave. You know, we have heard stories about ministers of God, we have heard stories about husbands and wife, we have heard stories that it's no longer shocking. Sometimes they'll come and tell you a story about a man and a woman, and you're like, wow. You want to wonder, you know, even the devil, I'm sure that the devil is really surprised about people today, because the devil is learning from us. When we start behaving some things in our marriages, the devil sit down and take pen and begin to write, to learn work from us, because the wickedness in marriages have gone so wild, the confusion in marriages have gone so wild, so people are not shocked per se. And if you want to see our viewers today, you want to really get from them, you will really see that they are not shocked again about things. They believe that anything can happen. Anything can happen. It is happening. You know, the woman you thought is an all and all, before you hear a story about that woman. The man you thought was an all and all, before you hear a story. So people are already aware that things like this happen. Does it mean that some few people are not shocked? They are shocked. And if you ask why are they shocked, it's because they never took note of the small signs, symptoms, and things that were happening around them to know that this thing can happen to another man. That's exactly what I think.
Apostle Ambe, Valentine, how do we prepare shocks before even engaging into a relationship or marriage? What are those things we should develop in us that should serve as shock absorbers?
A very strong mind.
Okay.
A very strong mind is a weapon against shock. And how do you develop this mind? Develop this mind by being conscious of the fact that every human has frailties. And because of this, it will help you understand that in case anything happens tomorrow, you'll be able to accommodate the fact that this person has tendencies that can make him act as the most intelligent person as well as the most stupid person. If you look at it in the scriptures, the men who were very high up at one time were at some time at their lowest moments.
Yeah.
Solomon was once celebrated as the most intelligent man. Ruth was a widow that lost everything, frustrated, disappointed. At one point, she was a widow, dumbfounded and confused. At another point, after following Naomi, she became the wife of the richest person. This is to let you know that there are high and low moments. And these high and low moments determine people's moods and their way of behaving. And sometimes you can see a very intelligent man, responsible man, act crazy. And sometimes you begin to wonder why this man who is an intellectual, a well-behaved person. Like some of you watch me on television, you look at us as supermen who cannot make mistakes. That's why sometimes our own mistakes are too pronounced than any other person. Somebody whom we think has taught marriage for many years, somebody whom we think has guided people, has resolved marriages. How come that we have seen great marriage counselors whose homes are broken? They are no longer married. They are no longer married, I beg your pardon. So this is the issue we're talking about, high moments and low moments. So once you have this at the back of your mind, you should be able to expect the best as much as the worst from your partner. That's the first thing. Secondly, you must develop a very strong heart. You don't allow things that happen around you to penetrate your heart. Scripture says, guard your heart with all diligence. Guard in the actual text means put boundaries around your heart. Put boundaries around your heart. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. That is to say, you should not allow things to leave your eyes and enter your heart. You should not allow things to leave your mind and enter your heart, because your heart is the center of your existence. Do not allow circumstances to flow into your heart. Be ready sometimes to ignore some things, despise some things, and even remove your mind for some things. That's the first thing. The third thing that you have to do is that do not be too inquisitive and be assumptuous. These are two weapons that kill. They say a hand that stays too long in the anus will come out with a excreta. If you keep searching a man's life or a woman's life, you will pick the shock of your life. One of the ways to avoid these shocks is to throw your eyes away from the things that can cause you to have problems. The Bible says God sometimes turns his eyes away from us. It's not because he doesn't want to look, because he does not even want to look at the kind of thing we are doing as human beings. That is how you have to live sometimes with a woman or a man. Sometimes remove your eyes from being too inquisitive, because if you keep on pursuing them, another proverb says, if the hand of monkey stays so much in the pot of soup, it will become the hand of a man. So you must understand these protocols, and it will help you. For instance, I don't go about searching my wife's phone. I don't check her phone. I don't question her. I know for sure that both of us serve God, and I think my fear and my allegiance should be first to God before any woman. It's not my wife who told me that thou shalt not commit adultery. Before I got married, I knew in scripture. So I had somebody monitoring me. So it is not marriage that will change me. A man that could not be changed by God's word before getting married, marriage will not change the person. That's the reason why I fear God. That's why I don't go out. It's not because I'm afraid of my wife. So I don't go by inquiring. My wife too has to know that she fears God, not to cheat on me. But if you keep being inquisitive, trying to find out, some people even go to the extent of sending spies to check their wives, you will have heart attack and you will die. And when you die, that one will move into the hand of the next person. Because why? There's nobody worth dying for. Jesus Christ has died for all of us. The next thing is that you don't believe on assumption. Assumption is a destroyer. Because your husband coded his phone, he's having an affair. Because he went out and came back and said he will not eat, you say he ate at his girlfriend's place. Because you demand for sex, he does not give you, he's getting it from somewhere. Assumption. Assumption. The cure to assumption is to ask questions. Why are you not eating? He gives you a tangible reason. Accept the way it is. Why don't you want to make love? I'm not feeling well. I'm not comfortable. I'm not healthy. It's understood. That than trying to create a wall out of your mind. There are people, if they go into their minds and search what they have conditions supposed to be, those people will doubt themselves. There are people, if they tell you how they think about you, that I can sit here like this and I have another Apostel Alfred in my mind. That if I remove that Alfred and put on the ground, they give it to the original Alfred, who asks if it is me. Is this me you are thinking about like this? This is the kind of picture we have in the minds of people. We have about people in our minds, I beg your pardon. And these are the things that kill us slowly and destroy us. And I think it is very important for you to understand these things I'm teaching. Avoid assumption. Okay. Avoid being inquisitive. Condition your mind that you are married to humans that have frailties. And they are one time high, sometimes they are low. So when you do this, it will help you appreciate the fact that you don't go about trying to dig things that will end up hurting you. Because if you die today, that woman will cry, she will put on black, they will celebrate, and after that, she will get married to somebody else, and your life must have been wasted.
Apostel Alfred Isinge, Apostle Ambe is talking about inquisitiveness. Should men or women not be worried about the communications their wives are engaged in that could cause them a shock? Should women not also be inquisitive to find out what communication their husbands are involved in?
Now, having concern is different from being inquisitive. You know, having a concern about the behavior of people is different, because sometimes when you just do some light checks, is to put some control. When you go to the extent where you want to be searching phones, trying to look for secrets, searching everywhere in the house, searching shirts, searching trousers, searching everywhere, you're searching so that you want to see something to look for. I saw one other comment again where this particular Danfo guy was singing. He said that thing when they're looking for phone, the thing that you're looking for in the phone is in the phone. So when you see it, what will happen? The highest thing is that you will cry, and after crying, you go to your parents' home. So what else will you do? You're going to cause a lot of problems. So we just say that don't be too inquisitive, because I'm telling you the truth. A lot of homes are suffering today because of inquisitiveness.
Of course.
Yes, people are really, you want to check who you did talk with, how you did talk for phone this mind. So it shows that not only woman you did talk with them, because you know if you did talk with a man picking his mind that kind of way, and so on and so forth. And then the man again will say that there are some men too also that behave like that. The men want to check everything the woman does, want to check a phone. I don't have that time to check people's phones. I don't have it. And to be able to spare you the stress and the pain and the heart hurts, I quote my phone, so that you don't even have the time to begin to cause stress to yourself. Men are just like that. Sometimes the discussions we discuss with people, and sometimes some people discuss some things with us, and sometimes some people share some things with others. If you open our phone, you want to begin to read them, you collapse, and you have a lot of problems. And that's why we say that don't be inquisitive. Don't be. You are in a relationship, you are in a marriage. Please seek to build a marriage and not seek to find faults. Because if you want to look for faults, you will see them. As a matter of fact, there are more than enough faults in marriages than what you think about. You have not yet seen some. You're still looking for them. And that's why we want to say that we advise you to be careful. Sometimes you may throw some slangs. Sometimes you may want to, let's discuss about these. But when it comes to being inquisitive, I will tell you that don't go for that. Don't go for that. It is really hurting homes and hurting marriages today. Well, but in certain situations where you must have observed and you must have taken note that this particular thing is going wrong, or you think that your husband is being blackmailed or your wife is being blackmailed, because there are also situations that can arise like that, you can begin to make it a little bit serious now. Go closer and begin to talk about it. You have been behaving strange these days, and I've seen your behavior these days. It has not been that which was there before. What is going on? In that case, you're trying to intervene and rescue someone from a deep shit or a deep trouble they have found themselves in, which they cannot handle. When you see somebody behaving and going that way, it means at that time it's above them. They can no longer handle it, and that is why you coming in at that time may not necessarily pose a problem. Sometimes they may say, leave me now, leave me, I'm alone and I just want to be alone. Sometimes you say, no, I don't think you have to be alone because we are together. So we need to know about that thing and try to see how to solve it. He said, okay, I give you today and tomorrow. If you cannot solve it, it means that we have to talk about it, and it means we have to look into it, because anything you can't look into it in a deep form, it means that you don't want to do. But you should also know that men don't like women who ask so many questions. That's it. Men don't like questions. So many questions, too many questions, and you ask them and they're telling you that, please, I don't want to talk, please just let it be like that. Sometimes just leave them to be like that, because if you want to go and begin to hear some things, you may hear the one that is going to take your life away. Sometimes cardiac arrest is obvious in such situations. So we'll always plead with, especially the ladies, please watch how you want to be inquisitive. Watch how you want to check phones. Watch how you want to begin to run behind your man. You want to send spies. You want to send neighbors to check on them. You go somewhere, you are calling. They say, no, I go do a video call now. You do video call everywhere people go. Don't you know that people can do video calls? And then, I've seen some strange things on internet where people begin to, somebody will just take a phone, the friends are behind, and they will put a pillow, and the person will be lying like that on the air. The person is lying on the air on a pillow. Immediately you see the pillow and you see him lying that, you will be thinking that he is sleeping. But while he's on the street, it is the friends that just use a pillow and put his head there. There are many, many ways that people can do, and you will not even find anything you want to look for.
Let's take first intervention from Mr. Sanjay Yvette, all the way from Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital.
Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to our televiewers. Good evening to everybody watching from the Northwest region, especially those in Donga Mountain Division, Ambe. I'm sending greetings to you all. Icho, yeah. Okay. So I'm talking about. I'm sure many will be surprised that I'm from Ambe. So, Mr. Leo, we're talking about surviving relationship, marriage shocks, how to survive and how to absorb it. I would say it depends on the kind of shock you've had, because what has happened will determine what can be done. There are some cases that you might manage, but there are some that you might need to break out. Okay, let's just look at some of the few cases. We have cases like, I don't even want to say cheating, because cheating has gradually become a norm in the society, even though it's not correct. Okay, but we'll talk about cheating, maybe a man cheating and having children out there without the wife knowing. Or we're talking about a wife bearing children under the man's roof, and the man is thinking, these are my children, whereas it's not his kids. We have having a spouse that you thought this is who they were, but they were somebody else. I think we had news some time back, some days ago. A lady was so shocked. The wife of the guy that was caught as a thief was shocked that the husband was actually stealing as his profession. But some of these cases, Mr. Leo, sometimes I begin to wonder how you can stay with somebody and, you don't even, like, you don't even perceive or even just suspect that this is, my husband or my wife is up to this. I know that there are people that can play their cards very well, but I want to say that the people that stay with such people are not smart. Because if you're smart, for you to know somebody, know their friends, know. In fact, even surprise them at their office or at the job site sometimes. Even though some people, a woman told me that she prefers not to surprise her husband because she does not want to see something that can kill her. Yes, but it's good to even surprise your spouse sometimes at work and just see what they're doing. It's not like somebody leaves the house every morning, they're going for work. You've never been there, you don't know what exactly they do. At least get to your spouse's job site sometimes. Get to your spouse's office sometimes. Just get there, just as a surprise, just greet, and just see what happens there, and you can come back. Because when people say they stay with somebody for this length of time and they like, you don't even know. So what kind of friends was this man keeping? I'm talking about the case of the woman that she was shocked that the husband was a thief. So what kind of, if you look at his friends, what kind of friends was he keeping? Because birds of the same feathers flock together. Look at his kind of conversations. Now, thieves work mostly at night. So what was happening to him at night? Or did he say he was doing security job? Some of these things are things to really look into so that we avoid stories that hurt. Now, let me keep that apart. We talk about separation. Some people just travel and they say, okay, I'm going for greener pastures. When I go, and then you will come over. And immediately they reach there, that is the end of their marriage. They cut off their lines, cut off communication, start their life all over. Before you know it, you hear that he's been married there he's been married there with 2 children, she's been married there with 3 children. I mean, shocking kind of things that happen with relationships. Let me talk about this other case I handled. A lady came for counseling, and unfolding her story, I was shocked. I mean, as a counselor, I myself was shocked. So she said the pastor called her and said, where are you? She said, I'm at main market. It's okay, can you go to Bamenda to counsel? She said, Pastor, what is happening at Bamenda to counsel? She said, just go there. Are you with somebody? I would like you to be with somebody. She said, yes, I'm with my sister, we are shopping. Okay. So they left, went to Bamenda to counsel. Guess what? The husband was getting married. The husband was waiting. He had just finished signing the civil registry, getting married to another woman. And on reaching there, it is rather the side chick that fainted, not the wife. The side chick is the one that fainted. I said, okay, so why should you faint? That means you knew something. So sometimes when we hear some of these kind of shocking incidents that happens in relationships and marriages, even as counselors, we begin to ask, like in this lady's case, I really asked myself, I said, what would I have done if I was in her shoes? I'm sure I would have fainted like 3 times. So we really have serious cases out there that are really shocking. Okay, talking about occultism, we've had cases where spouses are into occultism and the other spouse does not know. Mr. Leo, please let me just come back to talk more on this occultism before I share my contributions to this.
We're waiting for you, but let's take the case of a situation where you are married, Apostel Ambe Valentine Ngwa, and you don't know what your husband is actually doing. He tells you that he's into business, only for you to watch him on the news. That is a strong drug trafficker, or yes, or that he's caught somewhere trying to traffic human organs. He's involved in occultism. As the wife or the husband, how do you accept what you're watching on TV, what they're telling you, and surviving it?
Mr. Leo, when it comes to marriage, a lot of things are involved. That singular act is not strong enough for you to just separate from that person.
Okay.
Considering the fact that you first of all entered into the marriage without doing findings about the person. I think you don't just get married to somebody because you admire the person's looks or probably the person provides for you often. I think you should make inquiries about the person. That's the reason why there is always a need for a personal research about a person. You must not get all information about an individual you want to get married from the person in question. you should make inquiries from other persons around. Now, probably your search was not successful, and then you unfortunately fell into the hands of such a person. It depends how the marriage is. If the marriage is legally established by the state, you don't have the right to just walk out of it. Secondly, if children are involved, you don't have the right to just walk out of it. What you have to do right now is to bring the man under control and let him understand that this is not what you bargained for. And if at all he insists on living the life he wants to live, then you can now sue in or filing for a divorce, because you do not intend to stay with somebody of that nature, probably a drug pusher, a drug lord, or an armed robber. You did not know, it was in ignorance that you got married to the person. But I think deliberations or discussions are needed for you people to reason together first before you take any decision, because marriage is not a brothel or a motel or a hotel that you walk into and you walk out in a very simple manner. It is not equally a supermarket you barge into, pick a few things and walk out of it. No. Marriage is a contract between two persons, and you consciously, deliberately, wholeheartedly, before witnesses, took a vow before the church and you signed before the state. So it is an engagement, and you engage for better, for worse, and you met an armed robber later on is part of the worst you signed in for. You met a drug lord at the end is part of the worst you signed in for. But nevertheless, for your own security and for your own safety, if you intend not to continue the relationship, it is better you put the person in question on ground, make him understand that this is not the kind of life you expected to live, and this is not what you wish for your children and your generations to come. If the person will not stop such a thing, then the person should know that the relationship cannot continue. That is how you go around solving such problem. It is obvious that it's not everything about a person you will know before you get married to the person. There are some hidden secrets individuals who keep. I've seen others who were impotent, never told their wives, only for the women to find out later that they got married to an impotent person. Others have also committed series of abortions, and they damaged their wombs and did not tell the person in question, only for the man to find out tomorrow that the woman never had a womb. Others came with HIV and AIDS, but because of excitement and the frenzy for marriage, unfortunately they got married only to discover later on that their partner was HIV positive. So I think it is improper investigation about the person you want to get married to. Do not be carried by your emotions, your feelings, or your affection for an individual and fail to scrutinize the person before you get married, because there are things you may meet tomorrow that you did not make research about that would turn to hurt you severely. And this is the reason why we are challenging you, those of you who are still to get married, that the passion and the affection for the person should not blind your sense of reason. You should create time to do inquiries. Making inquiries about somebody is not despise or shame, is not disregard or disrespect. It's for your own safety, because they normally say when you're getting married to somebody, you're getting married to a family. And if you get married to that family, you should be ready to expect what comes out of the family line, and you should be ready to embrace it. I think it's this excitement and joy for us to get married to persons that we do not even bother to do inquiries about a person. I think when you are being carried in the groove of love, sometimes you get so excited, like you feel like everything the man tells you is the truth. But we have seen a lot of liars who have found their ways in the lives of men as well as women, because the persons in question did not bother to do or carry out any inquiries. So what we are trying to advise today is that you cannot conclude about an individual by just looking at the person or based on what the person tells you. Do your inquiries. That's the reason why marriages of the old were somehow successful to some extent, because parents would do inquiries about any girl that their child submits to the name that they want to get married to, and vice versa. They will go and find out about the girl's family, the mother, the father, the sisters, what runs in that family bloodline, what is the image of the girl in the society, what is the opinion of about the girl in the society, because as a matter of fact, people will definitely know an individual you do not even know better. By so doing, when they are done with their conclusions, they now make advances to get married to the girl. But it's only today that a boy will meet a girl in the street, get excited because of her looks, and because probably they made love and the girl did it very well, and then he got excited, so okay, this is my wife. We see it today from the church. Pastors make mistakes and get married to pure unbelievers, sometimes thinking that they are believers who just came and took shelter in a church for a time being because proper investigation was not done. Please, we are challenging you to investigate people. It's not a sign of lack of love, it's a sign of responsibility, and also to be conscious of what you are entering into. That excitement you have in entering into a marriage is not what makes marriage. I said one time that we have spent more time training women to get married than men. While a girl's mother is telling her in the kitchen, learn how to cook, learn how to sweep the house, learn how to honor your husband, a boy is in the field playing football, the boy is in the field playing basketball. One man is being trained, the other person is not trained. When they come tomorrow, a girl who is properly cultured from the home meets a rascal who played football throughout his life, and then they are coming to get married. Then they will tell you that in the African society, the woman is not normal. You go back to the scripture, Jesus Christ is a prototype of the church and the bride. Jesus Christ was the groom and the church is the bride. Jesus Christ left the temple at the age of 12 years old, and he spent 18 years without anybody knowing him. The man was trained for 18 years, and he came and trained the church for 3 years with the apostles, and he married the church for 3 years. So the man was even more trained than the woman. But that's not the case today. And these are the reasons why we sometimes have a lot of confusion in marriage, because one party somehow is trained, the other party is not trained. There must be a balance on both sides. I've always heard people say, train your daughters, train your daughters, train your daughters, train your daughters. This girl is not a wife. She's not been trained as a wife. Are you a husband? Are you a husband? If you were trained as a husband, you can train her as a wife. So I think these are some of the things we need to put into serious consideration. Investigate people you get married to them. Let someone not come with a big car tomorrow, drives a big car, buys you a car, gives you money, entices your family, and then out of that joy, because of your affection for the person, you think by investigating the person is a crime. It's not a crime. And this is the reason why sometimes we get married to some things that tomorrow we wonder how we got married to them. You are living with somebody in the house, is a hardened criminal. He goes out only in the night and comes back in the morning, and he tells you into his business. What kind of business? Where does he do the business? What kind of business? Where's the location? Is he having a shop in the market? Does he have a shop by the roadside? What is he trading in? These are the things you have to insist to know, or else one day you will sit in your sitting room and watch your husband on a line of armed robbers who have invaded somewhere and then caused a lot of atrocities. You begin to get surprised that is that the person that got married to. You shouldn't be surprised because you didn't do your homework.
Okay, good evening to you all in the studio. I am Matango from Bankomo. I wish to ask if I have my girlfriend and she is cheating on me. Should I take it normal and continue with the relationship? Apostle, can you just take note on that? Good evening, Mr. Liu. Apostle Valentine, I hold you to very high esteem. Continue to educate us. Let me tell you my own shock. I was sick and operated upon. After 7 days, my husband left the house since 2012. I have never heard from him, and I am still living because I'm surviving. Beatrice is writing from Bamenda, okay, abandoned by the husband. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I must say the program tonight is very interesting. As a husband, once you fear God Almighty, there is no need for insecurities in marriage. TJ is writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the fellow panelists. Interesting topic. I must say, shock management in relationships has sent a lot of youth to their early graves. It's really a call for concern. The veteran is writing from Yaoundé. Hello, Mr. Liu and the great panelists. Accept Calvary greetings. When you live a life of seek and you shall find, living on assumption, shock will be your companion in marriage. Nothing surprises me in marriage because everybody has his or her low and high moments. Thanks. B. Sue is writing from Amanda. Yes, Pastor, you are actually explaining what is happening in my family now. I think we both are benefiting. It's Falucia writing from Amanda. Hello, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Sandrine, watching from Douala. Please, I have a question. Why is it that cheating has been normalized with men in our society today? When a man cheats, it's normal, but in the case of a woman, it's an abomination, and to me, I think this is really a great problem. I believe in the saying that do unto others what you want to be done to you. Good evening, Mr. Kum and the crew. Night patrol on husbands' phones can't help. What you don't know can't kill you or make you worried. Comfort is writing from Yaoundé. Night patrol. Is today I'm hearing about this.
Yes, night patrol.
Okay, let the Lord continue to give you people more good talk. Thank you all. I'm happy to listen. I'm Celestine writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and also to Apostel Ambe and Isingi. Every human being is unpredictable. People behave differently in different situations. My philosophy of life is that any human being can do anything at any time. Just give them the opportunity. I think with this in mind, shocks can be avoided. Also, it depends on your perception about your wife or husband. Also, people perceive differently. There are women who have husbands who are cheats and they claim their husbands are not. Children who steal and their parents refuse all the allegations. Every individual needs a defense mechanism. Thank you. I'm Ferdinand, watching from Boya. Now, yes, somebody says that it appears cheating has been normalized for men and not for women, which means that when women discover that their husbands are cheats, it's not a shock, but when the husbands discover that, yes, it becomes a shock.
Well, we are looking at the culture of the society where men have the right to marry so many women, but women don't have the right to go out for many men, especially in communities like in Cameroon.
Yeah, but that's for marriage. Yes. We talk about cheating here.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to talk about. That concept holds even for cheating, because they believe that you begin from a relationship to marriage. So if you begin like that from that relationship, you will find yourself as a problem. The society holds that the men, not that they should cheat, but the men, are prone to cheating. But the women, they believe that you're the one that takes in all the dirty things that maybe come out from a man, and you're the one that is like an incubator that takes all those things into your system, and you should not be carrying dirty things inside of you when you know you are for some other person. That's exactly why people, even you yourself, woman, begin to check about it. You're the one that all the pores and everything goes inside of you and everything. So you should be thinking about how these things hurt so much. Women are precious. Their beauty is so wonderful. So they believe that when a woman begins to go out, it's either she has chosen to be a prostitute. And in communities and societies, prostitutes are almost getting normal now. So if you want to be a prostitute, you be a prostitute at once. But if you want to be a decent woman, be a decent woman. You don't need to get to cheating because you think that a man is cheating on you. That is how this thing works. You don't need to do that, because a lot of women are getting to that today in the sense of getting back to their husbands or getting back to their relationships. You see, you want to do it because he did it. Since he's doing it, me, I will also do it. And at the end of the day, we will see who will cry. At the end of the day, you'll find out that this man will allow you to do all what you do, and will go and choose even one of your best friends and marry. That's how it goes. I've seen a lot of girls who messed up in their relationship and just think that since the man kept forgiving them, she thought that the man would keep on like that continuously forever, and then only to discover that no, the man was already making arrangements to marry somewhere else. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Okay, look at like what Mrs. Asanji said just now concerning this lady that went to the court and discovered that the husband was getting married to maybe to the side chick or something like that. That's what it is. It means that they must have been taking things for granted, or maybe not taking things serious. And at the end of the day, you see that thing you're not been taking serious will only come back to harm you. And one of the things you should know is, immediately people start discovering that you are a cheat as a woman, they take you very low. They rate you very low in the community, in the society, or whatever. And people can even be offering money to sleep with you because they know that you are that kind of a prostitute. Yes, they know that you are more of a prostitute, and it's a very bad idea. That's for your self-esteem, idea. It's for your self-esteem. It must not necessarily be for some other person. It is for your self-esteem. So do everything to maintain that self-esteem, so that you don't be seen as someone in the society that mess up yourself for any small reason, or want to follow up things that at the end of the day is going to hurt you, hurt your family, and hurt your background. And sometimes if a woman cheats, they don't refer only to the woman. They go back to their family to begin to say the word. Their family is like that. In their families, that's how they are. You say, go and verify. And then, like you said, like Apostle was talking about, before you get married to someone, you have to go and verify. Some people are very discreet. Some people are very discreet. You may think that you know everything about them, only to discover that you really knew nothing about them. You have made investigations, you have found out, so you have tried to go out and look for some things. Now, and the truth about it is that how many of these people, of the places that this person has lived, that you can know, especially now in a society that there are so many family members scattered everywhere. So, you know, this time they are that way, this time they are that way. So to say that you really want to go and do all those findings, sometimes it is very, very cumbersome. So some people just walk on faith and believe that their faith will help them to make the right decisions and to get the right partners. And at the end of the day, you finally see yourself that you're getting into a relationship with a girl who is already destroyed, and she did not tell you. But will I also want to advise a girl to tell a man that she has lived a dirty life before? I wouldn't want to advise you that. I won't advise you to go and tell a man, except there are some very sensitive issues that you think that it is going to disturb your marriage. But if at all you discover that you can manage it without it destroying your marriage, I will not advise you to begin to open up to some of those kind of things, because men will always get to the point where they will remind you of that thing you have been. If you just take, for example, you committed about 3 to 4 abortions, and you begin to tell the man, before I met you I committed these abortions and whatever. Those things remain in the mind of the man. It remains there, and it causes a lot of problems. So that is why we say that no matter what you do as a woman, you are at an disadvantage end. You are at a disadvantage end, meaning that the society does not favor you when it comes to cheating. You know, life itself does not favor you. Your culture, your tradition doesn't favor you. So what is the reason you're going to get into something you know will hurt your destiny?
Apostle, I have one very interesting message here. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I have a problem with my husband, but he is behaving as if I am overreacting. My husband and I use one phone with different WhatsApp on the same phone. We at times give out any of our numbers out since it's on the same phone. So on Sunday, a particular number was calling my SIM, but I didn't pick the call because I don't have any number in my phone call appear. When my husband came back, I told him someone called. The name is Appear, but I didn't pick up. My husband said it is his friend, that I don't know him, but he didn't bother to call the friend back. So in the evening, the number sent a voicemail on my WhatsApp. The shocking part is that it was a female voice speaking. She was asking my husband to bring the duck meat that he promised her, and she even said if he cannot make it on Sunday, he can bring it on Monday morning. That she will be very happy. Mr. Liu, I was very shocked upon hearing that. The following morning, I asked my husband who is Appear. He said Appear is his friend who is in Kumba. I asked him Appear is a male name, but it is a female that sent a voice mail, and even asking for duck meat. My husband became speechless and started explaining how Appear is his customer. I didn't believe. He then said it's one Appear in Tsua who thought he was still living in Tsua and wanted him to buy duck meat. The different story that came up did not match with anything. I'm already losing trust. I feel our marriage is threatening to go down because of this. It is difficult to believe that I am being cheated. Please help me. Karen is writing from Yaoundé. Karen is finding it difficult to believe that the husband is cheating on her. But the funny part is both are using one phone with separate WhatsApp numbers. It means that appears the husband's WhatsApp messages coming, and then hers also. And at the time this number was the phone rang, the husband was not around, so she did not pick because the husband had written Appear.
What's the woman's name?
I don't know. Karen.
Karen, I know you are watching us right now. If you really want to take counsel from us, because I'm talking to you now and to every other person who might have been in this same situation, never and ever live on assumption. I repeat, Assumption and suspicion are two weapons that destroy people. Even God himself says, if you catch your partner in the act of adultery, when they brought the woman who committed adultery, it says she was caught in the very act. That's the literal translation. It means if you don't have clear evidences, proofs, and clear-cut explanations to what you call adultery, never assume and never be suspicious. These are weapons that Satan uses to tear homes apart. Secondly, I am sure it is too much trust and confidence for your husband to have put his SIM card and your SIM card in the same phone. Most men who cheat don't do that. As a matter of fact, they don't only have a phone. They have a phone that nobody can have access to. And that is not equally also a guarantee that the person is cheating. Sometimes the person does that to save the situation. Let me give you a simple example. A man and his wife were constantly having misunderstanding. I'm talking about people I cancelled. Because the woman will constantly go and open the man's phone and read messages she does not understand, interpret it in her own way. So when they came to me, I told the man that the day you will code this phone and don't give this woman access again, you will realize this trouble will stop. It's because she has access to information she cannot interpret. People go to school, notes that are lectured in class, teachers teach, put them in a book, students still read it and fail. To let you understand that the problem is not the information, the problem is the interpretation of that information. So if your husband have given you that kind of trust to the extent where he decides to put his SIM card and your SIM card in the same phone, my sister, men like that don't exist. And so if you say you are shocked, you are amazed, you don't want to accept the fact your husband is cheating on you, I don't first of all want us to conclude that your husband is cheating on you. Because if he's cheating on you, the first thing he will do is that he will not give you access to his informations. Number one. Number two, if your husband is cheating on you, you must understand also that in this generation we live, people can be trapped in one challenge or the other. Please, the fact that you have not yet seen it, do not go into thinking or making conclusions. What of a case where if you caught your husband red-handed in bed with another woman, what will you do? We are talking about shocks in marriage. Because you are overestimating your husband to the extent where even to the level of his faithfulness and sincerity, you are even having complications in accepting such level of integrity. I call that integrity. Because if we are counting on men in this generation, out of 2 million men, you won't find up to 5 that put their SIM card with their wives in the same phone. Your husband is a rare species of human being. Please do not, by a virtue of a call, make assumptions that the man is cheating on you. That is my sincere and candid advice. If I were to sit with you one-on-one, I would have told you the same thing. And I'm talking to you while talking to the rest of the persons who are watching this particular program live right now. So take this counsel from me and do not allow your emotion to override your reason. Put your head together and put one-on-one on ground, reason and understand to the extent to which your husband has been transparent to you by putting your SIM card and his, because that shows that his WhatsApp messages, you have access to them, and your WhatsApp messages, he has access to them. What kind of transparency are you looking again? If he tells you, believe him, and it is not something that is recurrent, it's something that has happened for the very first time.
Okay.
They say 1 is coincidence, 2 is accident, the 3rd time is a program. Let's consider this one as a coincidence.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo and the panelists. Every marriage has its crisis moments. How they handle the crisis is very important. Every couple must be aware. Prince Kum Rene, watching from Boya, good evening to you. My own junior brother, extend my greetings to the family out there. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Berinui from Bomenda. Big appreciations to all of you. in the studio for always educating us with the precious gift of life to all out here. God bless you in the studio. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to all in the studio. The cheating is also practiced in a polygamous family as the husband spends more time with another woman. Fadimatu, watching from Kumbo. Good evening to you, Fadimatu. Okay. Glennis, writing from Bomenda, says, hello, Mr. Leo and crew. Good evening. Stop calling. Just send text messages, please. Like Apostle Alfred Divine once said that one should jealously guide his or her heart. Mr. Leo, I must say, at the top of my list is the word disappointment, which means I see everyone as a potential disappointer. It's just a matter of time. I have made up my mind. Nothing in or out of marriage can shock me. Glennis is writing from Amanda. Glennis, okay, good evening. Our number one fan, greetings to you, Mr. Kum Leonard. My regards to our two panelists in Prime Hour tonight. I'm watching and following the discussions going on from Yaoundé. I would like to say that cheating is a sin before man and God, irrespective of the gender. However, if a man cheats, that shouldn't cause his partner to in the name of revenge, because two wrongs can't make a right. I call on the male gender to disconnect from the spirit of cheating. It's degrading and painful to the partner. Remember, cheating men, abeg make una try fear God here. Stop calling, please. If you're watching the program, can you stop calling? It makes it very difficult to read any message, and the messages are so many coming in. I wanted to read some of them, but let's take a listen to Mr. Sanju Yvette, also coming to discuss about situations where you may find out that your husband is a cultist. How do you manage that?
Yeah, Mr. Dio, I was talking about occultism in my first contributions, and I just want to say that the world is gradually becoming something else. Now, if you look at occultism, in those days they used to call it sacred cults because they were keeping it secret. But the unfortunate part of everything now is that you see that it is no longer a sacred thing. People do what? People make it open. Now, look at social media. If you take a keen look at social media, influencers, the entertainment industry, you're going to see that something is wrong somewhere. I mean, we've had people not less than 6, 7 going down within a year, and majority of them went down through the same means, the same way, road accidents. So you just hear this person died today in their car through road accident. This person died through road accidents. So what is there? Something is not right. And it is all linked to occultism. Many people might not accept it, but that's the truth. Now, occultism has become so normal that even young boys don't want to go through the normal process of working. They want something quick. And so for that reason, you see that they get involved into what? Into another level of scamming, because there's normal scamming and there's another level of scamming which deals with the occultic part. I mean, guys get into occultism now, get the cash, since ladies too have equally showed that all they need in relationship is money. Guys have gotten themselves into what they call Yahoo Plus. I don't know how they call it, but it deals with another spiritual aspect of scamming. Now, when they get into this, they do what? They earn quick money. They want to have quick cash. And when they have this quick cash, they equally spoil these ladies with the quick cash, since the ladies want the cash, right? They give these ladies what they need. But their lives and that of these ladies involved are at risk, because most of them die within the shortest time. Now, some of these scammers who are into this another level of scamming, Yahoo Plus or whatever, you realize that what they do now is that they sacrifice the same girls that they're dating. They sacrifice those girls, use the money, and mourn the girls with their family. In fact, they'll come and give you a very expensive burial. They'll come and cry with the family, comfort the family, spend in the family, just to do what? To act like they're actually maybe like they're actually moved by what has happened, whereas they are the reasons why the lady died. We've had so many cases, you hear that it's because of breakup or she ate rat poison. All of those things are stories. We know the real reason why these ladies are dying. So I wish ladies would learn. Okay, now keeping this aside, Mr. Leo, let me talk about this same in the aspect of absorbing shocks with occultism. We had a story. It's not a story, it's a real life, something that happened. A man had his son, the son passed the first, the advanced level. Immediately the results were proclaimed, the son died. So people were saying, telling the wife, it is your husband that killed the son. The wife was not believing. Now the son kept coming to the mother and said, Mommy, where we are, we are working, there is nothing to eat. It's not easy. Please put food for me in my room. The mother thought it was a joke, thought it was a dream, kept food in his room. Anytime she keeps food in the guy's room, she comes and meet the plates empty. So she talked to the husband about it. The husband said, hey, madam, never say this thing to the hearing of any other person. Now, when the junior brother was about to write GCE, the son that died came to the junior brother and said, immediately you write your GCE and pass, you are next. So the son told the mother, and that's when the mother realized that this is serious. And the mother had to break out from that home. So we have people who are into, we have a lot of shocking revelations about relationships and marriages. But now, how do you manage with any of them? Let's not even talk about people who are married, but they are still so much in love with their exes or with their ex. I think I had a very interesting case here in my office. I mean, 2 married people who are madly in love. 2 married people. He's married, she's married, but guess what? They are madly in love. He knew her when they were growing up. They had a relationship, but they went their separate ways, got married to different people. But as it stands, they cannot help the love that they have for each other. So this is just some of the few cases that we have, Mr. Leo. I will come back now to give how you can survive it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sanji Yvette. But there is this case of this guy who was just written, Apostle, this one. He says, hi, good evening, sir, please. I have a situation whereby my wife gave birth, and while I was waiting for my newborn baby to be strong before I start having sex with my wife, I was shocked to discover that she was pregnant again.
I'm shocked too now. Maybe I cannot explain that. How can somebody be pregnant again? It means that she was sleeping with another man while breastfeeding a child.
She's not the Virgin Mary. She's not Mary now.
Yeah, but
the question should be asking, how long does it take for a woman to start after delivery?
That's exactly what I'm trying to talk about, because it's early to think that before the woman wants to get to a point. Because I believe that maybe after 3 months you can start. 1 month. So when you say some people is 2-3 months, at least for the sake of saying, you just want to give her some time so that she can put herself together 2-3 months, you can continue. So how come you allowed your wife to the point where the wife is getting pregnant? Because I know when you're breastfeeding a child, you can't take it. That's what I also know. I don't know. Okay, it's possible, right?
It's possible, yes.
Yes, so maybe she slept with another man.
Yes, of course.
Yes, I think
it's a case of cheating.
Yes.
Okay, so immediately she put to bed. The next guy was available, and
let me come in.
Okay.
Normally, when a woman puts to bed, it takes at least a month for her body to gather. Some people give themselves 3 months, but normally after a month, her system is strong enough. And some women at that level, is very dangerous. Nobody should deceive you that when a woman is breastfeeding, she cannot conceive. It's delicate. Women put to bed in the space of 3 months. If their husbands are not smart to know how to manage it, they take in again. Yeah, ask medical personnel, they will tell you. So if I told you did not touch her for the past 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, and she became pregnant, then she probably was sleeping with somebody, and that would have been somebody very close, very, very close around your neighborhood, who must have contributed when she gave birth to the first child. Probably that child that you are carrying in the house, you contributed, he also contributed. So when the woman's body got a beat, the hunger for their drive continued, and the man came and touched when you have not touched. This time around, this is when it showed that it was not your child. Probably even the first one, there's a problem with that. So be very careful.
So be very careful, okay? That when the shocks come, in the case of either the woman or the man, how do we sort them out? When you discover that either your husband is a cultist, he's a 419er, where do you carry the problem to? Your friends or the pastors or maybe the family?
We always advise people to first of all learn how to work with themselves before going to somebody else. You must learn to work with yourself. The first thing is you have to allow yourself to come to the realization that this is what you're seeing. It is a reality. It is something that is particular. Then you may want to talk with the person to find out why they engage into such a thing, or you want to know what happened and when did it happen. And if you cannot get clear answers before you can begin to get people come into the whole situation or the scenario. But if the person opens up to you and is ready for a dialogue and is ready to be sincere to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth, then you should know that you have to learn to bear some things. But something like occultism, something like witchcraft, something mysticism and all the like, those kind of things, I don't know. I cannot really support somebody to continue in it, because it's either you become part of it or your life is also at stake, because those kind of things will come back and kill you or kill your children. That's how these things work. So I suggest that when you see such a thing, you can take yourself away from that place for some time, so that you can be able to sort it out depending on who you trust at that moment. Because you may not trust your pastor, you may not trust your parents, and you may not even trust your friends. It may just be some neutral person that can give you that advice. Most of the times I used to take advice but from neutral people, especially when I know that if I tell you my thing, before I know I'll hear it everywhere in the streets, I just decide to say, okay, no, let me talk to some neutral person who don't even know me. But that when we discuss, we'll just discuss it like an argument, or we'll discuss it like something that is worrying my mind, or something that is about another person, not necessarily me. And then through the discussion, I begin to get answers to my question. That is how it goes. So I really think that you must learn to absorb shock. You must learn to, balance yourself first so that you can take right decisions. A lot of people took wrong decisions when they met shock. Some of them, shouted. Some of them began exposing the man, and some of them began, those things. And then before you discover, you make things right again. But they will never forgive you for that. For the fact that you betrayed them, or you could not manage them in the time of their crisis or the time of their pain. So that's exactly what this thing is all about. So we don't just get into emotionalism. There's so much emotionalism. When I talk about emotionalism, it's the fact that you just want to react negatively, or you must want to tell the next person. You must want to do. I've heard women talking so mean about their wives. Women talking about mean about their husbands, and same the men talk mean with the husband about the wives. So that's exactly how it is. So you must learn to take shocks. You must learn to handle things within yourselves before you begin to take it outside. And then if you're going to take it outside, you should mind who is managing that information. If not, you will regret it. That's how this thing is. Okay, if not, you're going to regret it. Love your program, Mr. Liu. I became a believer after having some issues with my partner, which later failed, abstaining for several years, praying for a husband. I later found one after some revelations during my sleep, but the man was very broke to do the marriage right, which later results to another issue. Now the man has gotten married to a foreign woman who has transported him to her country, and now having an issue with her. What should I do? Mary is writing from Limbe. Good evening to you, Mary.
Wow, can you please, people stop calling? Good evening, Mr. Kum. Please kindly help me with the counselor in Bamenda's number. For those who want numbers, can you write to me after the program? Good evening, Mr. Liu. This particular speaker is biased. Okay, I don't know which speaker you're talking about. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It is right that a woman should pick his husband's call, please. I want to know. This is Mr. Egbe writing from Manfi. Is it right for the woman to pick the husband's call? Good evening to all. I'm having a problem of trusting and not being suspicious of my husband after I found out that he cheated on me and he accepted it and promised to change. Okay. Good evening, my media prime team. No matter how faithful a man is, he should never put his SIM in the same phone with his wife, because women always have that mindset that all men are cheats. You can never please a woman. For peace to reign, let every couple handle his or her phone. I'm Tabe Jevis Eswa writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Smith from Yaoundé. I have a friend who is married to a man. They have been married for over 6 years, and this woman has conceived twice but lost the baby on all occasions. This man went and got married to another woman and brought the woman to the same house with his first wife, and this woman has given him children. The woman goes through emotional pains every day, and the man has stopped the woman from leaving the house, claiming that he loves her. Is this woman who does all the work in the house and the other just crosses her legs every day at home. This woman wants to leave the house, but she does not know if it's the right thing to do. Please, what can she do?
Is she legally married? That's the question. If you are legally married, traditionally, civil status register, as well as the church, you can't just walk out. Like I said, marriage is not a supermarket. You walk in and pick groceries and walk out. It is not a brothel. You walk in with a prostitute and you walk out. Marriage is a contract, and contracts have terms of agreement. Until you breach the terms of agreement, annul the agreement, you cannot just walk out of that marriage. That's the first thing. If the woman is not legally married to that person, then I think it's her right not to be treated like a slave, because she's more of a house help in that house than a wife.
Are you saying that even if she were legally married, she should be treated as a slave?
No, even if she's no. The issue is it is a contract.
Yes. So if I sign a contract with you, you should treat me as a slave?
It's a breach of contract. It's not a matter of, it's a breach of contract. She has to annul the terms of the contract before she walks out.
Okay.
What I'm trying to plant in the hearts of Cameroonians is that once you sign that thing called marriage certificate, you have taken an engagement. You can't just walk into it and walk out because you're uncomfortable. What I think the lady should do right now is she can go out of that house. It is called technical judicial separation, where she can find rest. If the man finds her worth, the man comes back, she should give the man conditions why she should come back and stay. If not, then she should file him for a divorce if she's no longer comfortable staying there. But she cannot just pack her things and walk out of the house, because the man can sue her tomorrow for abandon the foyer. It is a part of the penal code that a woman or a man can be judged for. So I'm trying to counsel her that following thing judiciary will help her manage the situation better. But more of a slave she is right now in that house, because she can't be the legally married wife because she had challenges giving birth to children. Then the woman comes in, she folds her arms, she delivers her children, and she's the one cleaning up everything and cooking. That's the job of a housemaid. If the man has respect for that woman, then she should cause the first woman to respect the second woman to respect the first woman. One of the things I've also realized is that most people sometimes do not know how to maintain order in their family. The fact that a woman cannot deliver a child does not make her less of a woman. You have to give her her place and her respect. And this is the reason why most second wives come with witchcraft in families and destruction, because the husband said the right of the first wife. I've seen a case where a woman could not deliver children. She decided to tell her husband to bring in a wife. The husband had to be the one to define this first woman's position to the second woman, that despite the fact that you are in this house, this is a mother of this family. You must respect her, you must submit to her. So that failure in that house right now is the man's responsibility, not even the second wife's responsibility.
Okay. Mr. Kum, please direct this question of mine to Apostle Ambe. Here it goes. Is it preferable not to trust in a relationship, marriage, in order to avoid a shock upon discovery of some ugly things, or it's good to trust and be ready to withstand the ups and downs involved in a relationship or marriage? Matters of the heart are complicated, I suppose. Remember that my gender has a weaker heart. Ngala Evelyn Bongbimi is writing from Yaoundé.
That you should be able to absorb shocks or to make inquiries when you get married?
No. Is it preferable not to trust in a relationship or marriage? That is, you don't trust in it, but you are in it, in order to avoid shocks when you discover them. Or to trust and be ready to withstand the ups and downs involved in a relationship.
You can't live with somebody you don't trust.
Okay.
You should be able to trust your partner and be ready to make sure that you fight his fight with you. The same way he must be ready to fight your fight. Don't look at your husband's weakness as a curse. Neither should you look at your wife's weakness as a curse. You got married to that package. The package came with everything. The package came with the good, the bad, and the ugly. As much as you enjoy the good, you should be ready to help her fight the bad, vice versa. The misconception is that we are getting married to angels. We are getting married to some supermen and to some superwomen. No. A woman is a full package. That package has good, the bad, and the ugly. As much as you embrace the strength of the woman, you should be ready to embrace the woman's weakness. Okay. Vice versa. So please trust your partner and learn to help them fight their weaknesses while they help you fight. The reason why most marriages fail because our wounded soldiers are never taken care of. In the military, when a man is shot at the war front, the rest of the soldiers carry him to secure him. It's only a marriage that a woman will throw away a man because he has a bullet in an area of his life, and a man will throw away a woman because she's injured at a particular part of his life. Go to the military. You will realize that they are being trained that when grenades, bombs, or bullets catches a military man, maybe at the hand, on the leg, the rest has to carry the person. That man you are carrying is your soldier. That woman you are married to is your soldier. You are at a war front called marriage. Whenever they are injured, learn to fight with them until they recover. Don't run away from a wounded soldier. That's not marriage.
Now, this situation of this lady who is living with the husband and has no child, and the husband now goes impregnates another woman and comes with the lady into the house. How do you sort this out? Because Apostle Ambe was asking whether he was looking at the issue of legality. What if they were legally married, the fact that you are bringing in another woman, is that not already breaching a contract that you had with this woman? How do you even reconcile it, that this lady is not having a child, you are bringing another? How should such arrangements be done?
It's usually common that a lot of women don't want to respect themselves and respect their own homes, where you now live with a man where you're not legally married. That one alone is enough open door for a man to do anything he wants to do. But if a man signs a monogamy relationship with you and then brings another woman to the house, it's a criminal offense. It's a criminal offense. That one, the government frowns at it, and you can sue them. You can sue the woman and sue your husband. That's how it goes. It's just that unfortunately, when we see such things, we only want to fight. You know, when you fight and the other woman takes you to court, you are in trouble. So men always have the tendency that a woman who gives them a child, they honor the woman, and sometimes they really do these things to send you away, but they don't know how to tell you that they don't want you again. They don't know how to tell you that they don't need you again. They don't know how to tell you that, and as a result, they begin to do only things that will annoy you for you to leave. That's just it. So I think that you should get to the point where you legalize your marriage. You know, be sure that you can take, you can take certain drastic decisions with the law, to fight people who are intruding into your marriage. There are a lot of provisions that are there to help people in those situations, but people don't want to take time to know what the law says. Now, is it proper for us to know what the law says about certain things in the country? Yes, it is proper for us to know. Learn some things that the law is talking about marriage. Learn some things that the law is talking about relationships. Learn some things to know what to do if you find yourself in such a situation. But obviously, there is nothing you can do because you are not yet married. The family of the man don't know you. They have not accepted you. So the fact that your bride price has not been paid, they cannot accept you. That's the truth. So we always advise that women, in order not to be harassed, not to be shocked, or not to find themselves in certain situations, legalize your stay, so that when it happens, you can now consult a lawyer and consult the service of a lawyer to be able to claim them dearly, claim them, and they will never repeat such a thing again. So that's exactly what it is.
Let's take the situation of this guy who discovers that the wife is pregnant while he was waiting. How do you solve that?
The kind of situation. Okay, first, okay, now the man discovered that the wife.
Well, it's a very big shock.
It's shocking. That's why I said expect the worst as much as the best.
Yes.
From your partner. You are not getting married to an angel. Now you're getting married to a demon. You are getting married to a man that has a conscience and a man that has flesh. There is nothing good in the flesh, and there's also the conscience of a man that judges. One time the flesh will play, sometimes the conscience will react. Coming back to the situation you just asked here, you impregnated a woman, she delivered, and you are waiting for her body to gather together, and only to realize that in the course of that time she gets pregnant and you don't know where the pregnancy comes from. My brother, they say if you see a toad running in the day, it's either it's pursuing something or something is pursuing it. The first thing you have to do is to find out if at all that child that you claim to be yours is yours. This now pushes you to the place of DNA. The second thing is to find out where this other pregnancy came from. If both pregnancies are not coming from you, send that wife to where she got pregnant. Because the stigma of those children will remain an everlasting sore on your flesh. Every time you will see them, anger will boil within you, and you will never treat those children with passion and respect and care as a father. If at all you never knew that it was not your children, you could live with them and groom them without that consciousness. But now that you know that they are not your children, it will be like you are investing for somebody else's property. That's it. It's dangerous. There is that pain in your heart, Mr.
Yeah, but that is,
to be conscious of the fact that you are raising.
That is shocking for the man. But how about the woman that you are pregnant for? Or you just you're pregnant for another person, living with another. How do you even announce? How do you confront your husband to explain that this child I'm carrying is not yours?
Mr. Aliu, was it not on this same panel we sat and somebody said the wife was coming from the hospital, from antenatal, and somebody was pursuing and asking her out in that pregnancy? That's why I'm letting you understand that some people have desire for terrible things. I cannot explain how a woman is still in the position of breastfeeding a child and then you are still yearning for her. Did the milk not disturb you? That breast milk, did it not disturb you or what? You, the woman, explaining all this, you always say is a devil, because the first thing the woman will say is a devil. When people don't know how to explain what pushed them to do what they did, they will definitely blame the devil for being responsible. Because sometimes you ask yourself, how come I was able to condescend to this low estate to carry out such a heinous act? How could I have possibly downgraded myself to this level of acting this stupid, that I'm still breastfeeding a child and I'm getting pregnant for somebody else? This is unbelievable. But these are things that happen every day and every night.
Every day, everywhere.
So there are realities that we have to just accept that they happen around us.
Okay, let's see how we should sort things like this when they arise through Ms. Asanji Yvette as she makes her last contribution on tonight's edition of Prime Hour.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, talking about how to absorb and survive it, there are some of the cases that you might need to leave completely. Because let's talk about the case of the occultic aspect of it. Your life is at risk, so you might need to leave. We're talking about the other cases, it now depends on individuals. Do you still want to continue with that marriage or relationship, or do you want to quit? In a case where you want to continue, there are things that we cannot talk about. But in a case where you need to quit, you still need to heal. Because whatever you had, must have affected you psychologically, mentally, and maybe demoralized you even. Or even perhaps affected your integrity. So whatever the case, you will need to accept what has happened. Because the unfortunate part of everything is that sometimes people don't want to accept that this is what has happened. Even when a spouse has died, it's a difficult one, but the truth is that you must accept it. So the first step is accepting what has happened. The second thing is you should try to look into, have every understanding of what has happened, like try to do more investigations. If your spouse is there available for you to talk with them, let them open up. It's better for them to open up and tell you what has happened. I mean, the truth about everything. Because this is where sometimes couples make mistakes, or some people make mistakes. Something has happened, your spouse is angry at you, but is willing to forgive you. And they ask you, is this everything I need to know about this thing that has happened? You say yes. Whereas there is more that you are still keeping. Now, keeping part of whatever has happened as a secret will not solve a problem. It will rather bring problems in the nearest future, because when they will get to discover that you lied about what happened, or you kept part of the truth to yourself, it will still have, or it will bring trust issues. So if your spouse is even willing to talk about it with you, it is the appropriate moment for you to open up and tell them. It could be children under the roof that are not the father's own, or it could be children out there. Whatever the case, it is a time for you to open up. Let your spouse know exactly what has been happening. Let your spouse know the truth about what has happened. In a case where the spouse is not available to talk, I will encourage the other spouse to do investigations. Try to investigate to know, to have as much as is needed, every information that is linked to what has happened, so that you can now know how to handle it. Now, when you've discovered everything, have a calm head, calm down yourself first, and think of what best you can do in that situation. Hurrying to do anything might only land you into more difficult situations. Think about what you should do. You might need to maybe involve some few people, maybe family or friends, to help you in solving it. Or better still, you might need the help of a counselor. In a case where maybe it is couples that have fallen apart, or maybe they had trust issues, having children and others, maybe they could seek the help of a counselor. A counselor can help to mediate between the two of them, help them to walk past whatever that has happened. But if one spouse is willing to walk and another spouse is not willing, there will always still be a problem. Worse is when the spouse who is the perpetrator, I don't know if I should call it perpetrator, or the person that has caused the harm to the other person, is not willing to work with the victim. Now, victims can suffer from psychological torture. They can suffer from mental. They can be mentally abused. Like they can have problems with their mental health. So everything that comes with shocking revelations needs very, very critical, a better way of handling it. You don't need to rush the process, because rushing the process will not solve a problem. There are people that want to rush. Okay, if this thing has happened, it's okay, whereas it's not okay. And the truth is that it's going to affect them later on in the nearest future, and they will get into what we call a post-traumatic disorder. They'll suffer from post-traumatic disorder. So there are some things that happens now. It's good to take time, thoroughly walk through them, so that you don't get to suffer from the consequences of that thing in the nearest future. In all, learn to forgive. Whether you still have to continue with them or you will not continue with them, you still have to forgive them. For your own peace, for your own sake. Because if you don't forgive them, you become a prisoner to somebody's crime. They are the ones that committed the crime, but you are the one that is angry. You are the one that is carrying a load. So whether you continue with them or not, forgive them. There are people that you can forgive them, but you keep them in the past. There are people that you can forgive them and you still continue with them. But in whatever case that someday you might forgive them, and you need to learn how to keep it aside, like forget it. I'll always say this: forgiving might be easy, but forgetting is not that easy. And how long somebody takes to forgive and forget depends on what the other person is doing. So if you brought betrayal, if you betray the trust your spouse had for you, you have a lot of role to play to gain back that trust. Now, it is what you are doing that will determine how fast this person is going to heal, and how fast they're going to, regain their trust in you. Thank you, Mr. Liu. I think this is my take on that. Thank you.
This is Sanj Yvette. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Dennis writing from Limbe. I have a fiancé that's from another tribe, and my parents are not in support of it. They want me to get married to a lady from my tribe. Should I support my parents' wish, or should I proceed with my decisions? Apostel Ambe, please just take note of some of them if it's possible for you to, because I'm sure many persons are also in that airport. Good evening, Prime. I'm enjoying today's topic. My husband has a joint business with his side chick. His side chick even insults me. I want a divorce, but my husband has refused to grant it. What can I do in this situation? Habatu is writing from Banyu. Okay? Apostle, take note of this words here. This one says, oops. Good evening, Miss Elia. I'm watching from Bamenda. I'm married for over 11 years. Now, my shock in marriage is that one day my wife came to me and told me that she felt into temptation with a man. In fact, I'm still in that shock, and we are legally married with 4 kids. I'm still thinking of what to do with the man. Each time I come across the man, a different spirit come over me. Anytime I think of the incident, I feel like killing somebody. I'm planning the man seriously as days pass by. Though I've forgiven my wife, but I've not forgotten the issue. Each time we have misunderstandings, the picture comes to my mind. The worst is that when it happened, instead for me to send her packing, I went on and legalized her marriage. I'm so disturbed by the action.
Yeah, let me begin with the young man that said the parents are insisting he gets married to a woman from the same tribe. Marrying from the same tribe does not guarantee a successful marriage. These are things we have to seriously fight against when it comes to our present-day society. You should get married to somebody you can live with, somebody you have the same purpose, somebody you are compatible with, somebody you are going to the same destination with. Don't go and get married because of tribe. These are the errors we make. God's agenda, God's purpose for marriage is stronger than the coming together of any tribe. A simple example in Judges chapter 14, the Bible says that the father of Samson and his mother followed him to go and get married to a Philistine woman. Samson was a Jew getting married to a Philistine, and the Philistines were considered as uncircumcised people. But God's agenda was bigger. The father and the mother said, is there not a maiden amongst our people that you could get married to? And the Bible says the mother and the father did not know that God had orchestrated that wedding as a means to bring deliverance to Israel. So God's purpose in a marriage is stronger than any parental purpose, stronger than any tribal purpose, stronger than any religious affiliations, stronger than any physical or cultural affinities. Please get married to somebody whom you know can help you fulfill destiny, not in a tribe. Second question, the lady in Banyu who said the husband is doing a business with a side chick, and she wants a divorce in that marriage, and the husband does not want any divorce. My dear, it is better to deal with the angel you know, the devil you know, than an angel you don't know. There is no guarantee that when you leave your husband, you go and meet the most faithful person outside your husband. That's the first thing. Except you are making up your mind that you do not think of the idea or the thing called marriage anymore. Because sometimes we run away from fire pan, as they put it, and we jump into fire. I know you are hurt, I know you are disturbed, but there are many ways you can bring the man out of the hand of that side chick. Divorce is not the solution. Running away from challenges is not solving a problem. But if in case you insist on divorcing and your husband is not willing to divorce, I'm going to cancel. There's something called judicial separation. You can give way from that marriage for a time being. But let me tell you, that gap you are going to give will give the side chick proper place and capacity to walk into that marriage. And she will finally find her place. The side chick already has accepted the fact that she can stay with more than one woman. It is you who is finding it difficult to accept that fact. Which means tomorrow, if you clear the space, she will come in. And if your husband looks for another girl, she can accommodate it because she was a side chick and she has accepted the fact that she could share the man with any other person. Please think twice before you take any decision. Secondly, if you have children already in that marriage, your interest in that marriage is not stronger than that of the children. We don't stay in marriage because our interest is always protected. Sometimes there are things bigger than our interest that keeps us in marriages. The last question, what did the lady say?
Is a guy who says that
the guy who says that the wife cheated on him and he has forgiven the wife. My brother, if you have forgiven your wife, I don't see the need that you're going to kill somebody else for having an affair with your wife. Secondly, when you catch somebody who is a sinner, it means the person is a hardened sinner. If somebody walks to you and confesses a sin, the person still has his conscience alive. So it was your wife that came and reported herself to you. And thank God you are too passionate a man to have forgiven her. Some men will not take it. Since you have forgiven her, forgive equally the person, because two of them were caught in the same act. The man did not rape your wife. If you are bold enough to forgive your wife, then forgive the man. This is what happened in John chapter 8, that a woman committed adultery. They didn't bring the man in the sin that committed adultery, and they struggled to stone the woman. And Jesus said, if any of you have not committed any sin, you should. I am sure the man who committed the adultery with that woman was among those who wanted to stone. So if you could forgive your wife, why not forgive them? You are not forgiving them for their sake. You are forgiving them for your own sake. Unforgiveness will increase your give you high blood pressure. Unforgiveness will affect your life, and you need your life to live to take care of your generation and your children. So I don't see why you will carry somebody. Somebody said, and I quote, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. The greatest luggage on earth is not a bag of cement, it's grudge. Don't carry it, drop it. It's distracting you. You have a long journey in life. If you can forgive your wife, forgive that girl. Forgive that man, sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. Please, my question is that what you do if passing through a medical test with your partner and you finally get married, and after getting your wife pregnant, you people realize that your wife is HIV positive during her antenatal process. Will you ask for divorce?
That's a mistake you made initially, because health check is one of the procedures to get married. In our churches today, we don't wed people until they have given us certain test results.
But he said they went through it.
They went
through that test.
They did not see it.
Yes.
Well, for your information, if you are told that you slept with an HIV patient today and you go to the hospital after a month to run the test, you will never see it in your system. The acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which is HIV and AIDS, comes into your system but does not project itself after a given period of time. Somebody can go to the hospital after sleeping with an HIV patient, contacting the virus, and you stay in the hospital. You go to the hospital after 3 months, you will not see it. You will not.
I'm not sure it's up to 3 months here.
Yeah, you can be up to 3 months. That's the least.
I think there is a period of 3 weeks here.
Not 3 weeks, Mr. Leo.
I don't know. I'm sure it's 3 weeks.
Medical personnel are watching. Maybe they will advise us, because I went through a documentary that said even after a month, you go to the hospital, you will not be able to trace the virus in your system. That it takes time for the virus to fully mature and then come up.
So maybe by the time they went
the time they were going through, the virus had not shown up. So that's it.
Okay.
You can't harm her because of her past.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and the team. Bravo to you and the team for the great job you people are doing. A simple formula that helps to absorb and survive relationships. Marriage is shock is trust God for your partner. Always have it in mind that there are negative things, character traits you will discover about your partner. In the course of the relationship, don't be judgmental when you discover the negatives but rather in humility and love, discuss them with your partner. And lastly, most importantly, pray for your partner. Prayer helps a lot, because the Bible says God holds the hearts of kings in his hands. God can always turn things around for good. A great night to you guys. Martha is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Martha. But some persons, I think that to prepare themselves for marriage, or to better absorb shock, or to reduce the capacity for them to witness shocks in their marriages, is to go for sisters and brothers in the church. At least the rate of getting a shock from either the guy, a believing brother, a believing sister, is highly reduced.
Mr. Leo, the church is like a hospital.
Okay.
And not all patients are responding to treatment.
Mm.
The concept that good people are in church is a fallacy. The church is like a garage. That spoiled vehicles are being brought there for maintenance. Because if God finds out that you are saved, he won't save you. If God finds out you are in order, he won't bring you to put you in order. The purpose of God saving you is because you are sick. Before I continue, Madam Asanji did her counseling internship on HIV and AIDS. So she just confirmed now that you can have HIV and AIDS for 3 months without knowing that it is called a window period. So within 3 months, you cannot.
I thought it was 3 weeks.
Yes, 3 months you may not. That's why I said I studied. I went to a documentary that said 3 months. So she just confirmed now through my box. Like I said, the church is like a hospital, and not all patients are responding to treatment. People undergo processes to grow in church. We used to think that when you step into the church, you find angels there, only to realize that God saved the lost. When the Bible says God came to save the lost, it means the church is full of lost people who just found themselves. And if you are lost, it means you are lost in so many things. You are lost in moral, you are lost in attitude, you are lost in vision, you are lost in self-identity, you are lost in your worth. These are the kind of people you find in church. And when they come, a process now begins for them to be mended. So you cannot walk into a church and see somebody there who has been there for 1 year, 2 years, and then sometimes before you walk into the church, Mr. Liu, you have spent, for instance, 20 years in the world, and you are in the church for 4 years. You don't expect 20 years information to be edited out of your mind within the space of 4 months. That's why there's a constant renewal of the mindset as the days are going by. Somebody has spent 25 years in the world, 30 years in the world. The mind has been configured to think from the worldly standard, probably lies-telling, manipulation, thievery, and all kinds of things put together. Then the person comes into the church now begins to mold your mind. You cannot take 5 years and erase 30 years information and configuration. And that's the reason why when you walk into the church, it is good to take your time and study individuals. Don't assume that there is an advantage in the church. There are also persons who are groomed in well-cultured homes that are far more better off. So it has to do with the upbringing. That's why God says in the book of Proverbs 22 verse 7, he says, train up a child the way he should go, so that when he grows, he will not depart from it. So people, I think, are well behaved based on where they are trained. They are trained from homes, not the church. They are trained from their home. So I think a child who is properly brought up is better than somebody who just gave his life to Christ 2-3 years ago. So there is not some magic transformation in church. When you come to church, then some spirit will fall on you, then you just get transformed. No, it's a gradual process. One of the most complicated characters we have also seen, we have found them in the church. So there is no guarantee that you step in the church, you will just find some angel that will be very, very faithful, and it will help you to escape a lot of shocks in life. No, we have seen some of the greatest shocks also come from people from the church. But nevertheless, when a person is under the process of remodeling and reconfiguration, the person gets better by the day. The advantage is that somebody who is in the church is in a process of reconfiguration, while somebody who has not stepped there has not even started the process.
Okay, after it started the process, one last word for all of us who are yet to get into relationships or marriage is to get themselves armed against the possibility and knowing that the person you are getting married to is a human being,
of course,
and should be ready for anything.
Yes, Mr. Liu, and I think one of the things that has not been taught in any school, neither universities, professional schools, or primary or secondary schools, is emotional intelligence.
Okay.
This is where the challenge is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to accommodate, absorb, and be able to direct the waves of shock that come into your life. And I think most people, no matter how educated you are, you need emotional intelligence. This is the ability to be able to look at a situation that will swallow everyone and be able to stay calm and focused within that situation. I'll wrap up with this testimony. There was a very poor man that struggled and began a sword business in South Korea many years ago. The business became so great, and the man became so famous and rich. And the man had grown emotionally in the Word of God, until one day floods hit that area of Korea and melted every bag of salt that he had packed in his warehouse. His pastor, knowing the man's state, knew that before he arrives at the scene, the man will be dead. Pastor drove with speed only to arrive and saw the man there singing praises to God. And he asked the man, I thought by now, with the amount of loss you have experienced, you must have probably died. The man laughed and said, Pastor, the Bible says we are the salt of the earth. So as long as I'm still alive, there will always be salt in this house. They took the bags of salt away, but I am the salt. Every other bag of salt that ever came here because I was here. If I did not die, then the salt business will not close. That's emotional intelligence. To some persons, you will find them shocked. We have heard people, you will find them collapse. You will have heard people who heard that their container will come from the sea. And they say the container sank in the high sea. And they say, what? And then became paralyzed. Some had shocks and they die. So please, when you are entering into a marriage, as long as you have affection and feeling to enjoy your woman, you must be prepared for the unexpected as far as life is concerned.
Okay, Joy Key says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Joy watching from Loom. My regards to the great men of God in the studio. They are just the best as usual. David Chamba says, lovely the program more. Okay, Fivia says, good evening to you all, Mr. Kum, more wisdom and understanding. Berenu Eve says, good evening, Mr. Leo and the great men in the house. I'm enjoying the program live from Yaoundé. Akri Kelson says, Kelson watching live from Ginicom. I have learned a lot. I want to use the medium to thank our counselors in the studio. May God continue to bless them with more wisdom. Ngala Evelyn says, I'm watching from Yaoundé. I have learned that it's best to love and be with someone you trust and be ready to withstand the difficulties involved in love, because no union is perfect. I have also learned that if life is at stake and one can't comfortably remain with someone, it's best to part ways using legal measures. Okay. John Emmanuel says, I'm watching live from Bafusa. Michael K. Buma says, I like your program, but we have light over here. Clinton Fonda says, live from Bamenda. Ngwaklo says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm watching live from Bamenda. Kinjika Odin says, live from Yaoundé. Nyamendolo says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm watching live in the green city of Kumba. Princess Estelle says, watching live from Bamenda, I'm learning a lot. Apostel Ambe is a genius. I love the advice he gave to Lady Karine. Chica Floor says, good evening. Oops, can you stop calling, please? No way, just keep insisting to call. Chica Floor says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Chica watching from Yaoundé. My regards to the two men of God in the studio. Prince Lingwe says, I'm watching from Boya. Kilo Kennedy is watching from Suza. Isidore New Kigam says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to everyone in the studio live from Douala. Good evening. And thank you all for watching this edition of Prime Hour on My Media Prime TV. Thank you to Desmond and Eli for our production. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Dino Pamplemousse succombe au plaisir. Riche en pamplemousse.